Human civilization is like a rolling flywheel, entering the era of rapid development. Mankind has conquered the sky for thousands of years, but on this day, the sky has become a forbidden zone for God again. On the podium, Lao Wang read aloud. Yilin yawned and turned to look out the window. In that direction, far, far away, there is a tower that soars into the clouds, with no end in sight. Yin! Along with the teacher's roar, a short electronic pen hit Yilin's forehead with great precision. Ouch! The force of this electronic pen smashed Yilin's forehead out of a red packet. Wang Fenbai, male gender, 40 years old, unmarried, withdrawn, irritable, small-belly chicken intestines. It is said that the spiritual attribute is as high as 3.2, and the accuracy of throwing hits is as high as 93%. Yin, stand up. Yilin rubbed his red forehead when he heard the words, a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes, and stood up slowly. Yin, you are here to answer this question. Humans have conquered the sky for thousands of years, but on this day, the sky has become the forbidden zone of God again. What does this day refer to? Yilin sighed. Then he looked at the distant horizon, the huge grey tower soaring into the clouds. Don't you understand? If you don't understand. The old Wang on the podium saw Yilin's reaction. He just got upset and wanted to scold him, but he didn't expect Yilin to say the answer in a leisurely manner. Tower Age November 11, 2111. Pharaoh's expression became cold, and he silently held another piece of the electronic pen. This answer that the whole world knows, I think Teacher Wang must be dissatisfied. Yilin's voice changed, so that the electronic pen that Wang just wanted to throw out was forced back. Yilin smiled slightly and continued, on this day of November 11, 2111, 4 giant towers appeared on the earth out of thin air, but in our country, the provinces of Jiayan, Chuan, and Zizhu where giant towers appeared exceeded 200 million. The population evaporates out of thin air. At 2300 hours that night, 3,422 artificial satellites from outer space fell to the Earth at the same time, triggering the most spectacular meteor shower in human history. This night is historically known as the Starfall Night. That's it. One day, mankind completely lost air supremacy. From the day of November 11, 2111 AD, it is also called the Tower Era. However, considering the source of the original sentence, it comes from the paper The Firmament of Mankind Will Be Lost published by the Tower researcher Molly on June 4, 2114 in the journal Good Fortune. This paper, through various data and experiments, has confirmed the real existence of the no-air zone above 3,000 meters. So the answer that Teacher Wang wants is June 4, 2114. After that, Yilin looked at old Wang calmly. Lao Wang's eyes widened, and he could never imagine that the students who seemed to be honest and acquainted with this silent sound had actually studied tower studies so thoroughly. Teacher Wang, can I sit down? Ahem. Old Wang coughed dryly to cover up the embarrassment in his heart. He looked straight and clapped his hands. Classmate Rin, study hard. Classmate Yilin, sit down. Thank you, teacher. Yirin sat back in his seat calmly. This little episode did not interrupt Lao Wang's enthusiasm for class. He pressed the button to clear the content on the screen and rewrite with the electronic pen. This day is the biggest disaster in human history, but at the same time, it is also the beginning of a new human civilization. Yirin's eyes floated out of the window involuntarily again, as if looking at the huge grey tower through an endless time and space. Is so, out of reach. After class, Yilin packs up his textbooks and prepares to leave. A tall figure walked up to Yilin. Yilin raised his head and saw a bright smile on his face. Brother Yang, it's you, what's the matter? While talking, Yilin silently said the name of the future person 3 times in her heart. Xiao Yang, Xiao Yang, Xiao Yang. Ha ha ha, Xiao Rin, shouldn't you want to test tower for majors in the future, right? Xiao Yang put Yilin's shoulders condescendingly, and asked with a smile. Yet. Yilin put the book in his bag, and then smiled helplessly. I heard that the country now needs a large number of professionals to study tower science. In response to the call, this year's key university in the country, the tower studying majors will lower the total attribute requirements. It's one more hope. Yes, who made Xiao Rin just an ordinary person? A trace of disdain flashed in Xiao Yang's eyes, but a smile on his face was even greater. He patted Yilin's shoulder hard, and then his tone changed. Right, today's historical homework. While talking, before Yilin agreed, Xiao Yang had stuffed a thick pile of homework into Yilin's school bag. Oh, homework. It's okay, wrap it on me. Yilin cheerfully put away the homework that Xiao Yang had put in. You really deserve to be a good friend of Xiao Yang. Don't worry, you brother Yang, I am a genius with a strength, agility, mental measurement attribute of more than 10.0, and I will be in Xiao Yang in the future, so I won't miss you a share. Yilin smiled. Yes, who makes us good friends? If Yang brother has nothing else to do, I'll leave first. Yilin finished packing, carrying a thick school bag, and about to leave the classroom. As he walked out the door, Yilin suddenly remembered something. By the way, brother Yang, I think the weather is not quite right. It may rain heavily tonight, remember to close the doors and windows. Bai Xiao Yang looked at the back of Yilin leaving. It wasn't until Yilin completely left that Xiao Yang uttered two words with disdain. Dumbass. Welcome home, Yilin. It is July 8, 2121, 18:30. The moment Irene opened the door, the lights and air in the whole house were cleaned and started to operate automatically. A sweet but unsentimental electronic composite sound system came up. Yilin left his school bag aside. Xiaoi, help me heat a quick nutritious meal, taste B, eat it in 30 minutes. This is for you, Yilin. Yirin looked up at the electronic screen. Then lowered his head. Raised his head again. Lowered his head again over and over again. Confirmed 6 times. Today is indeed July 8, 2121. Even the AI butler sometimes makes mistakes. If it is normal, it will be wrong if it is wrong. But today, never allow any errors to occur. There are about 3 hours left. Irene nodded calmly, and then came to the gym. In the gym, the ground was piled up with dummies. The dummy's body is covered with deep and shallow scratches, but these scratches are more concentrated in the neck part, in the center, deeply recessed. There are even some dummies, which are divided into 2 parts from the neck, which looks a little scary. Irene came to the strength tester blankly. With all his strength, he blasted out a punch. 120 kilograms. Soon, a cold number flashed on the screen of the strength tester. It's only 120 kilograms. It should be around 2.0 when converted into a strength attribute. Yirin's expression remained unchanged. He came to the speed tester again. After pressing the button, countless small shot out of the barrel. Yirin was fully absorbed, and quickly slapped the ball in the air with his palm. 5 missing, agility is about 3.0? But it may not be accurate, but this is enough. Yirin nodded in satisfaction, no longer wasting energy, and walked out of the gym. Yirin took a shower, changed into clean clothes, took out the fast and nutritious meal at the right temperature from the microwave, and ate it with big mouthfuls. Although it is a nutritious meal, it looks like a mysterious paste. As for the taste, that's not important. A few years ago, the chief scientist of Longguo invented a magical instrument that can classify human talents into 3 attributes, strength, agility, and spirit, and measure specific values. Among them, the level of strength attributes is related to muscle strength, physical explosiveness, physical fitness, cell activity, etc. But agility is related to many factors such as reaction speed, running speed, and sensitivity. As for mental attributes, it is equivalent to a comprehensive score of various abilities such as memory, calculation, observation, understanding, and abstract thinking. The emergence of attribute tester has completely changed all talent selection systems in human society. Since then, all schools and units have abolished the examination system, and replaced it with an attribute tester to test the three-dimensional attributes to assess each individual's talent potential. Even 5 years ago, the country also announced to the whole country 2 ancient martial arts for fitness, strengthening and longevity, which were passed down from the Ming dynasty. As long as you can keep exercising, you can steadily improve your strength and agility attributes. It set off an upsurge in martial arts by the whole people. Just like the Qingcheng High School where Yilin is located, PE classes take up half of the time. According to data released by professional researchers, the measurement attributes of ordinary people are below 3.0. Through the exercise of strengthening the body and the dragon walk, the strength and agility attributes can be steadily improved, but the increase is related to the talent. A single attribute value exceeding 3.0 is excellent, and a single attribute value exceeding 4.0 is genius. And Yilin went through an official authoritative initial test 3 years ago, and his measurements were Strength 1.5, Agility 1.8, and Spirit 2.9. And the final comment turned out to be plain ordinary people. 2000 hours. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Yiren only did one thing and practiced the physical strengthening technique twice. Promote digestion. When the nutritious meal provides enough energy, the excessive fullness should not affect the flexibility of the body. 6.5 points full, just right. 1 more point, 1 point less will not work. Too tired, too lazy, too full, or too hungry. He has tried hundreds of times, eating a nutritious meal, and practicing physical strengthening skills twice an hour later. Just right. 2010. It started to rain outside the house, as in the memory, this day was a heavy rain. Seeing the heavy rain coming as scheduled, Yilin was finally relieved. In the past 3 years, he has not even dared to spit on the side of the road. I was afraid that this mouthful of sputum would cause an unpredictable butterfly effect, which would cause the day of July 8, 2121, to turn from heavy rain to clear. 2030. Yilin completely emptied the bladder. From under the bed, he pulled out the black waterproof sweater he had prepared 3 years ago and put it on him. From the toilet, he found another box that had been sealed for 3 years. Gloves, masks. One more. A brand new dagger. Under the desk drawer, Yilin tore, and took out the small paper bag that was stuck underneath with tape. A square and very thin paper bag. Yilin carefully opened the paper bag. There was only a small card inside, blank on both sides, and nothing. But Yilin carefully put the blank card next to him. Let's go. After Yilin was ready, he walked out of the house, left the community, and disappeared into the torrential rain in a blink of an eye. 2200 hours. Xiao Yang is practicing physical strengthening and dragon walking in his own gym. I saw his footsteps are extremely flexible, swimming easily among the obstacles in the gym. Drink. Every time he passes by the strength tester, Xiao Yang will punch the tester. Shocking numbers flashed on the strength tester. 180 kilograms, 215 kilograms, 200 kilograms, 195 kilograms. Sudden. The light above his head flickered suddenly, and within a few seconds the room was completely plunged into the darkness of invisible grass. What the hell? Xiao Yang was taken aback for a moment, then couldn't help but yelled, then stopped practicing, and fumbled towards the distribution box. Just now. In the darkness, Xiao Yang's exploration pace stopped abruptly. Just because a line of text suddenly appeared strangely in front of him. Do you believe in God? Yes/no? The weird line of text exudes a grey and unknown breath. But at this moment, there seemed to be a voice in Xiao Yang's mind, like the babble of the devil, urging him to make a choice. Yes. At the moment Xiao Yang made a choice, his body suddenly disappeared in place. 1 minute later, Xiao Yang, who disappeared from the house strangely, reappeared silently, just like when he disappeared. Wei Hai Xiao Yang reappeared in the darkness, but knelt on the ground with a splash, gasping for breath. No one saw it, his forehead was covered with cold sweat, dripping to the ground. A few seconds later, Xiao Yang was in shock, but he let out a weird laughter. I survived, hey, ha ha, ha ha ha, I survived. I really am a genius. Ticked. From today, I, Xiao Yang, will no longer be immortal. Ha ha ha. Ticking, ticking. Xiao Yang suddenly felt a little strange. The sound of his sweat dripping on the ground was very clear in the room. Does he sweat so much? A hand silently leaned out from behind Xiao Yang, with a cold light like a serpent's message, gracefully passing over Xiao Yang's neck. A few seconds later, Xiao Yang felt something was wrong. Why is your neck wet? Hui, hui. Xiao Yang originally felt a little strange, so he subconsciously touched his neck. Is slimy, wet, and doesn't look like sweat. He wanted to talk to himself, but when he opened his mouth, Xiao Yang realized that somehow, the breath that should have been exhaled from his mouth and nostrils, but somehow leaked from his neck, making a flat tire-like flapping sound. A few more seconds later, Xiao Yang fell to the ground feebly, his eyes full of horror. Who am I? This is where? What's wrong with me? Xiao Yang clearly felt the rapid passing of life, every inch of his skin was changing from warm to cold at a terrifying speed. Do you know? In the darkness, Yilin walked out from behind Xiao Yang, and then slowly squatted in front of Xiao Yang's tone is as calm as an old friend recounting the past, talking together. It took me 832 days to become good friends in the eyes of my classmates with you. I imagined 26 postures and angles where you return to the real world. In the past 3 years, I have used the opportunity of returning homework to give you the opportunity to recall the structure of your home 2,542 times in my head. I practiced cutting the throat 41,600 times with a dummy whose height is the same as yours. I also made 18 kinds of compensation plans in case the throat cut fails. Xiao Yang tried his best to stretch out his hand to the black shadow in front of him, his eyes widened, full of fear. His consciousness gradually became blurred, but Xiao Yang still vaguely distinguished that it was the voice of his good friend Yilin in the dark. A familiar and unfamiliar voice. All my preparations are for this day. In order to be 100% safe, kill you who have just become apostle. You haven't had time to become the leader of 8 shadows under Death Knight. You may ask, why do I know you so much about you? Oh, you, as the public enemy of all mankind after 4 years, have been found out exactly how many times you wetted the bed as a child. Few people know that there are actually 2 ways to become an omnipotent apostle. One is a genius like you with a total measurement attribute of more than 10, there is a certain chance that he will be summoned. And the second one is to kill apostle with your own weak human power. Yilin suddenly smiled, sorry, some words have been held for too long, and it is a bit uncomfortable not to say them. Now I feel more comfortable, thank you, my good friend. Just now, a grey card, emitting a strange grey streamer, quietly floated from Xiao Yang's head. Oh? It's dead. Yilin's eyes were still calm as stagnant water. Your death posture is the same as I guessed it. Yilin smiled slightly, and did not hesitate to reach out to the grey card floating in the air. Do you believe in God? Yes/no yes. Unregistered personnel killed the First Order Apostle, qualification transfer, registration success. Registration area, Tower of Death. Registration ID, 1010. Detected that Preparatory Apostle 1010 has an unknown module, do you want to load it? Yes/no. Unknown module. Inan's heart moved, and he took out the white card that had been placed next to his body on the inside of his clothes. In the future 4 years later, that is, in 2125, 4 apocalyptic knights with terrifying power appeared in the sky, bringing disaster and war to the world. Wherever the knights of the apocalypse passed, corpses were everywhere, devastated. That is the real doomsday. The only one who can fight against the knights of the apocalypse is Apostle. But under the overwhelming power displayed by the knights of the apocalypse, the apostles gradually split into 2 opposing camps. Order and Scourge. The Order camp is fighting for humanity. The natural disaster camp succumbed to the power of the apocalypse knights, willing to become a butcher knife to slay humans. One day in the future, the Order camp, including Yilin, will attack Conquer Knight, one of the 4 knights, with thousands of apostles, and suffer tragic deaths and injuries. In the end, Yilin and the conquering knight will die together. After another, Yilin was inexplicably reborn to Tower age 2118. Was 3 years ago. Yirin has not felt summon. He thought of the future 8 shadows data. The time when Xiao Yang became the apostle was around 10 p.m. on July 8, 2121. Here is a series of preparations. All the preparations made by Yirin have been for this day in the past 3 years. Only by becoming an apostle can you have the power to face the end of the world that is about to come in 4 years. And this white card has been in Yilin's hand since Yilin was reborn. In the past 3 years, Yilin also tried to study white cards, but found nothing. But according to his experience, perhaps only after becoming an apostle can he unlock the secrets contained in that mysterious card. Yilin knew in his heart that becoming an apostle meant that Yilin would still embark on a road full of thorns. Maybe he can't change anything. Can't stop the end. But Yilin has no other choice. He just wants to live. Even if there is only a faint light, he wants to witness with his own eyes the bright future that may exist in 4 years. In order to find herself, let her. A future that can survive. Everyone knows that a butterfly flapping its wings can cause a storm on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. But no one knows how much effort this butterfly put in to flap its wings. Yes. At the moment Yilin made a choice, the white card melted into Yilin's body like flowing water, bringing a hint of coolness. Analyzing unknown module, successful analysis, loading the module Apocalypse Knight, damaged, module loaded successfully. Apocalypse Knight template. The moment when these few lines of text appeared in front of Yilin's eyes, his expression changed slightly. Knight of Apocalypse, but the most powerful existence 4 years later, that terrifying mighty power like natural disasters, Yilin is still vivid in my eyes, as if yesterday. This is the powerful secret of the Apocalypse Knight. But broken. What means? I didn't wait for Yilin to carefully analyze what the so-called Apocalypse Knight's module did, and soon came the moment that Yilin missed so much. Xiao Yang fell into a box, and Yilin opened the box happily. The relics of the First Order Apostle, Xiao Yang are now randomly selected. Get the skill Hidden Breath. About to enter the trial mission of Prepare the Apostle. The next moment, a flower appeared in front of Yilin's eyes and disappeared in place. In the world, I'm back. Yilin smiled slightly. When Yilin regained his vision, he found himself sitting in a long and narrow cabin. He was wrapped in a soft and comfortable seat, and the seat belt firmly fixed Yilin on the seat. Yilin used the fastest speed, meditating silently in her heart. Apostle Panel. In an instant, a holographic virtual interface that only he could see appeared in front of Yilin. Yin ID, 1010 health value 100%, cannot be quantified, deducted as a percentage based on the strength of the apostle's body, Shinik value 510, affected by mental attributes, module Knight of Apocalypse, damaged, level LV0, preparation for apostle, strength 1.8, positively correlated with muscle strength, physical fitness, explosive power and resilience, agility 3.0, positively related to shooting speed, reaction speed, flexibility and movement speed. Spirit 5.1, positively correlated with memory, imagination, calculation power, Shinnik value, precision, perception, casting speed, and Shinnik recovery speed. Willing 7.0, the embodiment of willpower is positively related to various resistances. Lucky 4.0, it is extremely difficult to improve under normal circumstances, and it is cherished in Europe. Charm 2.5, it is extremely difficult to improve under normal circumstances, and is handsome and cherished. Skills hidden breath enhanced none. For Yilin, the scene before him was 3 years away. In the past 3 years, Yilin has habitually recited the Apostle Panel in his heart countless times, but there is no response. Now, Yilin, who has re-registered in the Tower of Death, finally sees his panel attributes again. Is still a familiar formula, a familiar taste. He quickly browsed his attributes. The 3 attributes of strength, agility, and spirit add up to 9.9. No wonder you haven't been summoned. The dual attributes of strength and agility are hovering at the level of ordinary people, reasonable and expected. But what Yilin did not expect is that his spirit and will attributes far exceed the level of ordinary people. The time when Yiren returned from his rebirth in 2125, just after the initial test in 2118, the first test tested the attributes of Yiren before his rebirth. After was reborn, Yilin was never tested by official instruments again. UU reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Although I knew that the attributes of the instrument and the Apostle Panel were different, but I did not expect that the spirit and will attributes were so high. Is it because of rebirth? The souls and memories of the 2 lives merge. Yiren quickly thought of a possibility. Lucky 4.0, sloppy, a little lucky. Charm value. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Glanced over the Apostle Panel, except for one more module, the others are almost the same as in the impression. Yilin seized the time to check the relics left by his good friend after he fallen into a box. Hidden breath grade C grade consumption 2 Shinnik value / second effect reduces presence by 40%. Once the movement skill effect disappears, the cooling time is 300 seconds. Explanation you can watch silently. A skill that makes people difficult to describe. Iron just wanted to study what kind of golden finger the Apocalypse Night module is. There was a violent vibration all around. At the same time, Yilin heard a sweet voice above his head. Passengers are welcome to take Flight 444. Flight 444 is about to enter the thundercloud area. It is predicted that it may encounter unstable air currents. Please do not walk around and fasten your seat belts. During the passage through the thundercloud area, the fuselage may experience varying degrees of turbulence. Please don't panic. Generally speaking, you will not die. I am Xiao Tiantian, the flight attendant of Flight 444, and I will always be with you on this journey. If Xiao Tiantian is not there, then it means Tsitsizi. Because of fate, 5 people who did not know each other took Flight 444 together, but unfortunately, the unexpected accident happened. Life is also the same morning, death is also the same coffin. The fate of Flight 444 involves the hearts of countless people. We all want to know whether the 5 people on Flight 444 can die neatly, thrillingly. Then, main task, escape. Boom. When the 4 big blood-red characters of Escape from the Sky flashed shockingly in front of Yilin, there was a loud noise in front of him. Accompanied by a violent vibration, Yilin's seat was strangely facing downwards. Tilt. This is full of malicious opening remarks. It's still a familiar taste. To tell the truth, Yilin somehow missed it somehow. Flight, for Yilin, it is a very strange word. While the 4 giant towers brought catastrophic changes, they also created a forbidden air zone covering the entire planet. As early as 10 years ago, airplanes, a high-altitude transportation tool, with the emergence of forbidden air zones, withdrew from human life overnight and turned into historical remnants. By the way, with the exception of airplanes, all technology and thermal weapons that rely on satellites and aviation tools have lost their meaning overnight. At the beginning of the Tower era, human science and technology civilization went backwards for decades in an instant. In general, many young people, let alone aboard, never even see the authenticity of the plane. This trial mission was actually on a death flight. Rumble outside the window, thunder and lightning flashed. It's terrifying. Following a violent turbulence, Yulin was thrown severely. If it weren't for the seat belt, Yulin would not know where he was thrown. Now Yulin has no time to study what the Apocalypse Night module is. He firmly grasped the handrail for fear that he would be thrown away. Boom! In the cabin in front, there was a strange noise. But after this sound, the violent turbulence eased a bit, but the entire plane began to fall diagonally downward at a certain speed. The plane was still shaking uncontrollably, but it seemed a lot more relaxed than it was at the beginning. The lighting in the entire cabin flickered and dimmed, as if it would be completely extinguished at any time. Yulin thought for 3 seconds, and within 3 seconds, he only did 3 things. First, Yulin recalled the brief mission statement. Second, 5 possible hypotheses were made for this trial task. Third, unfasten the seat belt. And many more. Yulin suddenly noticed that the clothes he was wearing were not the black sweater he was wearing when he sneaked into Xiao Yang's house. Open the palm of the hand, there is a scar on the back of the hand. This is not the palm that Yulin is familiar with. Yulin's expression was calm, and he quickly fumbled in the pockets of his suit. Sure enough, a metal piece the size of a coin was found in the lining of the suit. Is it a role-playing type task? If I remember correctly, this should be what was recorded in the history book, the style of the previous ticket. In the past, all the facilities on the flight used a one-a-ticket system. Whether it is an emergency oxygen supply system, a life jacket, or an umbrella bag, you need to swipe a ticket to open it. Ah, there is. Yulin muttered to himself, and pulled out a life-saving box from his seat. Drop. Swipe the card to open the life-saving box. Get fruit knife, get old parachute bag. Fruit knife grade none explanation. A knife that can be used to peel. The peel is hidden in the life-saving box. Old parachute bag grade none explanation. One of the characteristics of Flight 444 is an umbrella bag with a certain age. It has not been maintained for many years. Whether it can be opened after jumping out depends entirely on luck. This trial mission to prepare the apostles to turn into a righteousness really deserves to be a cheating mission with the title of Grave of the New Man. Yulin looked at the parachute bag and couldn't help but smile knowingly. Yulin put the fruit knife in his arms and carried the unreliable parachute behind him by the way. When he got up from his seat, in different positions in the cabin, the remaining 4 passengers with different expressions stood up from their seats one after another. Yulin quickly swept across the 4 of them. A non-mainstream young man dyed blonde hair. A beautiful woman in formal professional attire. An old man with a hunchback who appears to be in his 70s or 80s. A middle-aged man who wears glasses and looks gentle. Including Yulin, the 5 people all noticed each other's existence as they stood up one after another. Sudden. The slightly swaying plane shook violently again, and the 5 people, including Yulin, subconsciously grabbed the seats next to them, trying to maintain their balance. Fortunately, this shaking came and went quickly. Unfortunately, Yulin's pupils shrank slightly, and after the shaking, the fuselage was more inclined than before, forming an angle of about 30 degrees with the horizontal. Have you all seen those words? What's going on? Are we kidnapped? A trace of panic flashed in the woman's eyes, her white palms firmly grasped the handrail, not daring to move. How is it possible? The man with glasses shook his whole body, his teeth fought, and he could hardly conceal the fear in his heart. I obviously work overtime in the company, so in the blink of an eye. Am I dreaming? This is an airplane. 10 years ago. Aircraft that has ceased operations. Hey! The non-mainstream golden retriever smiled. We all chose yes before we came here. Since we believe there is a God, what's so strange about everything in front of us? Didn't you notice the prompt at the beginning? If I guessed it right, we should be caught here by some mysterious power to complete some kind of trial. I thought it was an illusion. The beauty in professional attire was limp and muttered to herself, is it really a god? The non-mainstream golden retriever glanced at the beauty and licked his tongue. Whether it is really godlike, the most important thing now is to live. I had been in prison for 2 years, and now, hey, instead of spending time in prison going down, it's not bad to really die here. When the beauty and the man with glasses heard that the golden retriever had been summoned from prison, they couldn't help but look a little more alert when looking at the golden retriever. The humpbacked old man didn't say a word. He looked around. Suddenly, the old man's muddy eyes lit up slightly, and he took a small red life-saving hammer from the wall of the cabin. At this time, the non-mainstream golden retriever looked at Yilin, who had been silent for a while, smiled, and a dangerous cold light flashed in his slightly squinted eyes. Brother, what you are carrying on your back, shouldn't it be a parachute? The voice just fell. The man with glasses, the old man with hunchback, and the beautiful woman in professional attire all involuntarily looked at Yilin. High-altitude aircraft escape equals parachute. As long as it is not cerebral palsy, this conclusion should be drawn quickly. Yilin shrugged indifferently and explained the origin of the parachute. You should have a ticket on your body. Open the life-saving box under your seat and you should be able to find it. While talking, Yilin tried his best to maintain his balance amidst the turbulence of strength and weakness, and walked forward. He is not going to parachute. In fact, without 100% certainty, it is impossible for him to fight for that bit of luck and jump from high in the sky. That's not luck, it's life-threatening. Yilin has witnessed the end. I have witnessed the purgatory where corpses are everywhere and the city turned into ruins. He understands the value of life better than anyone in this age. There is only one life. If he died again, Yilin did not dare to hope that he could be born again. Therefore, when he was reborn, Yilin planned for 832 days in order to ensure that he would kill Xiao Yang on July 8, 2121 and seize his apostle status. Cut the throat 41,600 times. Imagine 26 poses. Brain fill the map 2,542 times. Make 18 kinds of compensation plans. Everything is just to be foolproof. In Yilin's view, as long as there is a plan, preparation, and plan, there will be no surprises. This is the theory. Actually, it should be like this. Therefore, this umbrella bag is absolutely impossible to jump. Yilin suddenly remembered the 4.0 little luck on his panel. He has a feeling that if he just jumped down with an unreliable umbrella bag with his little luck, will die. Yilin walked through the passage, and the other 4 people passed Yilin's reminder at this time. They also found tickets from their bodies and hurriedly opened the life-saving box. When Yilin passed by the spectacle man, he found that there was a person lying beside the spectacle man's seat. To be precise, he was a coma. While the man in glasses opened the life-saving box, he noticed Yilin's eyes and waved his hand quickly. No, it's none of my business. I don't know him. Just now, he unfastened his seat belt by himself. The plane shook and he hit his head. On the top of the cabin, I fainted. Sure enough, there was a faint trace of blood near the luggage rack. Yilin didn't want to pay any attention. You read www.yuyuganshu.com, but after thinking about it, he approached the comatose man, sniffed his nose, and breathed weakly. Although he seemed to be alive, he should not be far away from death. I found it. At this moment, the woman turned out a parachute bag, weeping with joy, and put her back directly behind her back. Yilin glanced back inadvertently. Well, it looks like it should be the same. Old parachute bag. This parachute bag actually has text instructions. A hint of surprise flashed in the woman's eyes. Many items in the inner world will be digitized. This is a magical experience for newcomers. For Yilin, who is not surprised, naturally there is no surprise at all. When the beauty in professional attire found the parachute bag, the non-mainstream golden retriever stood up from her seat with a gloomy expression. I saw a helmet in his hand, and a life jacket. It looks like a helmet for a motorcyclist. What is the use in this situation? Landing with your head? As for the life jacket, I can think of it with my toes. Without a parachute, jumping in a life jacket can only make the body float. No wonder the golden retriever's yintang is dark, and there is a hidden omen. The old man with a humpback looked helplessly found a life jacket from the life-saving box, and a bottle of coconut juice. Looking at the rusty jar, I don't know if it has expired. No, I don't have a parachute here. The man in glasses was pale and his hands were empty. Interesting. The corner of Yilin's mouth was slightly tilted without a trace. In other words, this is now on the crashing death flight 444. There are 5 survivors. And the unreliable parachute bag. Only 2. Golden Retriever squinted, and looked at Yilin and the beauty in professional clothes for a moment. There is really no such auspicious number on this flight 444. The mess of props searched out from this life-saving box is really shocking. 5 people, 2 umbrella bags. How to divide? Is not enough. Under Golden Retriever's gloomy eyes, no one else dared to breathe. After all, this Golden Retriever is a cruel man summoned from prison. There is naturally a hostility in the eyes that ordinary people can't have. The plane was still falling down at a terrifying speed. Everyone tightly grasped the seats beside them to fix their bodies. Sudden. The beauty in professional attire rushed towards the cabin door like crazy. Stop for me. Golden Retriever sneered. He had been prepared, and his movements were a bit faster than the beauty in professional clothes. He reached out with one hand and pinched the beauty by the neck, and pressed the beauty on the hatch. Hand over the parachute, don't force me. My strength attribute is as high as 4.0, and I can break your neck with one hand. Golden Retriever stretched out his tongue and licked the beauty's red face from being pinched, and smiled evilly. It's a shame to look so beautiful. At this moment, the beauty in professional attire has round eyes, her eyes protruding, her neck is pinched out by the Golden Retriever, her eyes are hard to breathe, and her eyes are gradually turning upwards. Don't, I have something to say. Let's think of a way together, maybe we can live together. The man in glasses was sweating cold, and he just took a step under his feet, as if he wanted to stop the Golden Retriever from moving thick, but when he saw the fierce look in the Golden Retriever's eyes, he immediately retracted his feet that hadn't had time to land. Humph! Golden Retriever snorted coldly, and forcefully snatched the parachute bag from behind the beauty, and pushed it along, and the beauty hit the ground hard. With the turbulence of the plane, the beauty in professional attire rolled on the ground and bumped several times. Soon there were many scars and bruises on her hands and feet. Cough cough cough, vomit. The beauty who was almost strangled to death by the golden hair turned from red to white, and finally stabilized her body in the bumps, then she lay on the ground and breathed, giving out bursts of retching. When she raised her head again, when she touched Jin Mao's cold eyes, she kept backing away in fright until she got to the side with nowhere to go. A few seconds later, the beauty shook a sharp spirit, and then a pool of peculiarly odorous pale yellow liquid slowly flowed out from under the short skirt. Golden Retriever glanced greedily, seemingly nostalgic. But he quickly put the parachute bag behind his back, looked back at several people with different expressions, and then smiled coldly. There is one umbrella bag left, you can grab it slowly. After finishing speaking, Golden Retriever pulled open the hatch without saying a word. Hoo-hoo! At the moment when the cabin door was opened, under the huge pressure difference, the air in the cabin was madly gushing out of the cabin. Golden Retriever did not hesitate for a while, After opening the hatch, he leaped forward and jumped out of the plane in a chic posture. In a blink of an eye, the golden retriever carrying the parachute disappeared from the eyes of the other 4 people. Tsitsiza shortly after Jin Mao jumped out of the plane. The long silent broadcast reverberated the sweet voice of the flight attendant Xiao Tian. Is just the content of this voice, but it makes everyone's expressions drastically changed. Zizi, it's 6 minutes before flight 444 successfully landed, please wear your seat belts. 6 minutes is like a reminder. At this time, no one was in the mood to care. The broadcast called the crash of the plane a successful landing. Yilin lowered his body to avoid being carried out of the cabin by the powerful airflow. It took him more than 10 seconds to return to his seat, then swiped his card, took off the emergency oxygen mask, and greedily inhaled the high-concentration oxygen in the oxygen supply equipment. While inhaling oxygen, Yilin's brain didn't stop thinking. The oxygen content in normal air is about 21%. After absorbing high concentration of oxygen, the excessive surplus oxygen will be temporarily stored in the blood through the blood-oxygen exchange of the alveoli. This is the mechanism of oxygen reserve. There are 6 minutes left for this mission. Yirin calculates quickly. In other words, high concentration of oxygen. 1 minute is enough. Yilin raised her head, her expression unusually calm. Even at this juncture of life and death, his heart was not shaken at all. With the rapid loss of oxygen in the cabin after the door was opened, the man in glasses, the beauty in professional clothes, and the old man with hunchback all understood the reason for Yilin to do this. I saw the other 3 people struggling to return to their seats. Like Yilin, they used the ticket to remove the oxygen supply device and greedily inhaled fresh oxygen. But even so, it can only make them live a little longer. When everyone was inhaling oxygen, the remaining 4 people had different expressions and their eyes were erratic. Seems to be guessing what other people are thinking. They all understand that this wave of pure oxygen is particularly critical in the next action. Zip, hey, there are still 5 minutes before flight 444 successfully landed, please return to your seats to avoid dead bodies. The sweet voice of the broadcast content has become more and more weird. 5 minutes. There is no time. Yilin, who took oxygen first, moved first. Everyone's face changed. They all thought that Yilin was going to jump down with the last parachute while others were not paying attention. The humpbacked old man and the beauty in professional attire moved a bit, seeming to block Yilin's escape route. But no one thought that Yilin came to the front of the humpback old man at the fastest speed and took off the parachute bag behind him. Do you want it? Yirin smiled at the old man. The hunched old man's expression froze. You stared at me for a long time, didn't you just want to grab the parachute while I was not paying attention? Yilin raised the corner of his mouth and looked at the humpbacked old man calmly. From the beginning of the mission, the old man with the humpback has always been very calm, too calm. He just held the armrest with one hand, and his seemingly rickety body, even under severe bumps, seldom shakes. From this, Yilin could see that the strength attribute of the old man with the humpback was probably only higher than that of the golden retriever. From the beginning, the target of the old man with hunchback was Yilin. He. The old man finally spoke, the voice was full of breath, incompatible with the old posture. You reading www.yuyuganshu.com. You said this, are you afraid that I will kill you? Even if you don't kill, without a parachute, you will still die. Clever, let's take it, it's dead simply. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Yilin, and stretched out his hand toward Yilin. Yirin tightened the umbrella bag, and spoke quickly, one change one, you give me a life-saving hammer, I will give you the umbrella bag. Life-saving hammer. The old man thought for a few seconds, and the squally gust of wind howled in the cabin, and the lights went off and on. During the brief conversation between the two, the cabin shook suddenly, and it actually tilted down again. saw that he was about to fall head down towards the ground. There is not much time. The old man really couldn't figure out what Yilin was about to die on the plain, and what he needed a hammer to do. And he has repeatedly confirmed that it is indeed an ordinary hammer, nothing special. So he did not hesitate and took out the life-saving hammer directly. Change. Yilin looked at the old man with some caution in his eyes, handing over the umbrella and the hammer in one hand. Fortunately, at the last moment when the plane was about to fall, the old man didn't even bother to play any flattering tricks with Yilin. Not to mention just an ordinary hammer. The moment the hunchbacked old man got the umbrella bag, he immediately carried his back on his body, faced the cold wind, and jumped out of the cabin without hesitation. Then the moment the old man jumped out of the plane, a line of information suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Preparing the Apostle 937, Death. In today's trial mission scenario, the numbered deceased can only be Golden Retriever. The parachuting Golden Retriever is dead. The old man with humpback soaring in the sky suddenly seemed to have figured out something. His eyes were round and he looked at the gradually smaller plane in the sky, and his complexion was pale. He hurriedly opened the button of the umbrella, but the button was locked like rust. No matter how it was pulled, it didn't move. The old man was in a hurry, and he tried harder. Snapped. Suddenly the old man felt the button loose. Opened? The hunchback old man was ecstatic in his heart. But the ecstasy hadn't come yet, and the wrinkles on the old man's face completely froze. Pull ring. Broke in. It broke. Why do I have such a high power attribute? Tears of regret flowed from the old man's eyes. Fuck ah 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 ah. The voice is sad, desolate, and full of stories. On the plane. The lighting equipment in the cabin is completely extinguished. The plane is about to pass through the thundercloud area, but the crash of the plane seems to be a foregone conclusion. ZZ, hey, there are still 4 minutes before flight 444 successfully landed, please return to your seats and avoid dead bodies. The beauty in professional attire was stunned, she didn't seem to have recovered from the news of Golden Retriever's death. The Golden Retriever who jumped first, died. 4 minutes. At the speed of the plane falling, can't wait any longer. Wait any longer, even if it's parachuting, there is no time to open it. But, on the plane, there are no other passengers, no other parachutes. No. Wait. Maybe. The beauty in professional attire looked at somewhere in the cabin. There is a passenger lying there. A passenger who had been forgotten on the ground by everyone from the beginning and passed out. Wrong? The pupils of the beauty in professional attire suddenly shrank, and she suddenly realized that from the beginning of the mission to the present, she seemed to have overlooked one thing. A very important thing. Wait, why didn't anyone notice such an important thing? The moment when the beauty in professional attire wanted to understand, she felt like she had fallen into an ice cellar with a chill in her heart. Suddenly the plane swayed suddenly, and the beauty could not stand under her feet, but she was blown off by the air current from the cabin door. Slammed into the cockpit door. Prepare the Apostle 1002, Death. That old man, also died. Yilin didn't wait any longer, and under the light of the lightning outside the plane, came under the seat of the unconscious passenger and took out the life-saving box. He had already sneaked up another ticket from him when he first checked the unconscious passengers. Opened the life preserver under the unconscious passenger seat. There is a life jacket in it. Get life jacket. Life jacket grade none explanation. A very close-fitting life jacket, high quality, strong wear, falling into the sea even if only the body is left, it can float steadily. The attribute that makes people speechless. But it does not matter. In the whole trial scene, Yilin paid the most attention to, in fact, the small hammer that the old man with hunchback took away from the beginning. All items are locked in a life-saving box. Only the respective ticket can be opened. Only the life-saving hammer, scarlet and eye-catching, hangs within reach. Just put a label next to it. Want to me, to be me, to be to me. Doesn't it make sense that there is no silver 300 tails here? It's like a beautiful woman running over with a shy face, telling you, I am at home alone today, my bed is so cold tonight, I can eat ice today, I am empty, lonely and cold, etc. Is there any difference between this and hurry up and get on me? Actually, not really. According to Yilin's years of experience in the inside world, existence means reasonableness. The most special existence must have the most special meaning. Plain life-saving hammer grade none explanation. This is an ordinary life-saving hammer, except that it can knock on doors and windows, nothing special. Yirin's face changed. It turned out to be this stuff. Yirin said nothing, squeezed the small hammer, and walked directly in front of the confined cockpit. The small hammer gently moved down the heavy cockpit. Clang! When the life-saving hammer fell on the cockpit door, with the drop hammer as the center, countless spider web-like cracks spread out. It is obviously a metal door thick enough to be bulletproof, and it is as fragile as glass in front of the ordinary life-saving hammer. Yilin's expression was calm, and he did not show any surprise at the strange scene before him. One more hammer. Yilin hit another hammer. Broke in. The heavy metal door was broken easily by a hammer. Is still a life-saving hammer that looks ordinary. Beside the cockpit, the beauty in professional attire, who was hit with severe pain and would be unable to move for a while, witnessed this magical scene with her own eyes, and her mouth opened into an O shape, and she couldn't close it for a long time. Say it's too late, then it's faster. From Yilin to the cockpit door, it took only 10 seconds to smash the door with a hammer. There is not much time. Yilin felt that the entire cabin was falling faster and faster, and the plane had already dropped to a height below the thundercloud. Outside the cabin, there is a dark night sky. After smashing open the cockpit door, a gust of wind mixed with broken glass came towards Yilin. The broken glass scraped on Yilin's face, leaving blood stains. Life value: 99%. 98%. Yilin's life value was also scraped away by the broken glass. The lighting equipment has been paralyzed, and the surrounding area is completely dark. Not far away, a small artificial intelligence robot, the voice is no longer sweet, but a bit harsh and sharp. ZZ, hey, there are 3 minutes before the successful landing of Flight 444. Dying. It's dying. The artificial intelligence robot is no taller than a Barbie doll. The corners of his mouth are cracked to the base of his ears. There are 2 round blushes on his cheeks, and his eyes are shining with faint electronic light. Was supposed to be a very cute robot, but in this atmosphere, it looks a little weird. I didn't expect it to be such a sweet. In front of the cabin, the glass was all shattered. The captain drooped his head on the driver's seat, densely packed with sharp glass shards from head to toe, reflecting cold light in the dark, without a sound, as if he had been dead for a long time. At this time, there were almost invisible footsteps behind him. Yilin had no expression on his face. Between the cockpit door and the captain's cabin, there was a small pantry. Yilin stopped directly and activated his only skill without hesitation. Hidden breath. The effect of hidden breath is to reduce the sense of presence by 40% when standing still. Of course, the meaning of reducing the sense of presence is not the same as being invisible. But in such a dark environment, the effect of reducing the sense of presence is undoubtedly played to the extreme. A tall figure, like a ghost, passed through the passageway that was broken by Yilin. When he passed by Yilin, he didn't notice the existence of Yilin for the first time. Yilin held his breath, when the figure passed by half of Yilin ear. A cold light flashed in Yilin's eyes, and when he flipped his palm, the small fruit knife cut to the side of the figure's neck like lightning. That is the location of the human carotid artery. Yilin is familiar with this anatomical position. Is very familiar. The fruit knife tore a deep hole in the figure's neck. A stream of blood, like a fountain, sprayed out from that mouth. The figure suddenly turned his head, his eyes shot out faint green light. Like a monster. Is a man with glasses. Ah, the man with glasses opened his mouth and grinned at Yilin in the dark. There was a slight white mist between the white teeth, like cold air. Turned out to be dead. Yilin cursed secretly, and he noticed something was wrong from the beginning. But he never expected that this kind of existence would appear in the trial of preparing the apostles, this kind of trial that is all new. If it weren't for keeping an eye on it, Yilin would have been so cold now. But in fact, the undead does not mean that literally. The so-called undead were once apostles. But he was the apostle who fell in the mission of inside the world. Life is gone. The soul cannot rest in peace. Will not be liberated. Was imprisoned in the tower. In some missions, when the difficulty increases, undead may appear. In the mission, the dead who used to be an apostle will do everything possible to kill the apostle and hinder the apostle from completing the mission. The meaning of the existence of the undead, even in the future apostolic circle, is also an unsolved mystery. Some people have speculated whether there are also main missions for the undead. As long as they are completed, they can be resurrected and return to the real world. But in any case, once you meet the undead in the mission, you must kill them without hesitation. This is the iron rule among the apostles by default. The undead is troublesome. But in the other world, it is like an apostle. Will feel pain, will bleed, and will die. Kill. The man with glasses blasted Yilin's chest with a punch. Yilin did not evade, instead, he stabbed the man with the eye with a knife. The knife penetrated the glasses and sank into the eyeballs. Yilin twisted the eyeballs and the deep brain tissue of the glasses man with a fruit knife. That punch also hit Yilin's chest at the same time. Puff! Yilin opened his mouth and spewed a mouthful of blood, and there was a burst of crisp fracture sound on his chest. The ribs that were broken by the punch seemed to be stuck in the lungs, and it hurt fiercely. Even the breath smells of blood. The man with glasses fell slowly to the ground, and the only left eye was green light in the dark, full of unwillingness. The undead also have health. 2 knives are critical, enough to kill him. Yilin was gasping for breath. This brief confrontation seemed thrilling, but it only happened in an instant. How did you discover? Yilin held her chest and wiped the blood from the corners of her mouth. I have no time to talk to you. He didn't bother to explain to the man with glasses. Has no time to explain. There is not much time. The idiot stayed here to solve the mystery with the man in glasses. I'm waiting for you, inside, he. In the darkness, the one-eyed green light of the man with glasses gradually became dimmed, and it was merged into the airplane, and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Kill the A-class undead and get 1000 chaos points. Just after the spectacle man disappeared, in front of Yilin, a message that he had never seen before suddenly appeared. In future missions, he has also personally beheaded the undead. But I have never heard of a confusion value. What is this? Yilin didn't have time to think about the cause of this chaotic value. In the darkness, a petite figure quickly ran out of the captain's cabin, passing in front of Yilin. Oops! Yilin's heart sank, and her heart was not good. He endured the sharp pain in his chest and chased him out of the tunnel. I saw that in the dark, the petite figure simply put on his back the parachute bag that he had gotten from nowhere, turned his head, and smiled at Yilin. Thank you. Bye. After finished speaking, he jumped out of the emergency escape hatch. Is that beauty in professional attire? She even slipped into the captain's cabin while Yilin was fighting with the man in glasses, and took away the only key item that can make people survive. Brand new parachute bag. Brand new parachute bag grade none explanation. The special parachute bag for the captain of Flight 444, quality assurance, 100% safe parachute opening. The life safety of the captain must always be guaranteed, right? At this time, the exquisite AI robot flight attendant screamed frantically at the broadcast. there are still 2 minutes before Flight 444 successfully landed. 2 minutes. Die, die, die. He he he. Yirin gritted her teeth tightly, blood leaking from her mouth. Through the broken window at the forefront of the plane, he could already see that in the dark night, the sea level was getting closer. Last 2 minutes. The only parachute in the entire cabin was also taken away by the beauty in professional attire. Yirin never gave up thinking during the whole mission trial. Even if it is 1 second. But he only miscalculated 2 points. First, it takes 2 swords to kill the death spirit. Second, that beauty in professional attire turned out to be a preparatory apostle who is good at agility. Just now, Yilin estimated her movement speed and her agility attribute was at least 4.0 or higher. 2 seemingly insignificant ignorances actually pushed Yilin to such a desperate situation. Sure enough, everyone who can be summoned is an elite figure among human beings. Don't underestimate anyone. At the beginning, I made 5 assumptions about this task, but it was still too few. At least 15 types are safe. Yirin closed her eyes. He did not give up. Can't give up either. He was born again, not to fall here. He has a reason that he must never die. The future should never be such a desperate doom. In an instant, the 10-minute experience on Flight 444 quickly passed through Yilin's mind. His mental attributes are as high as 5.1, and his memory and calculation abilities are far beyond ordinary people. Plus his experience of struggling to survive in the future. Sudden. Yirin opened his eyes. It suddenly occurred to him that in this trial, each preparatory apostle passenger seat would be randomly arranged with 2 props. Old parachutes, expired coconut juice, fruit knives, helmets, life jackets. As well as, there are no useless items. Every item must have its meaning. Exists, that is reasonable. Yirin took a quick glance at the remaining health. 45%. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. The man with glasses almost beat Yilin to death with 1 punch. Only 1.8 power attributes, indeed a bit crispy. Yilin took a deep breath, and the feeling of lack of oxygen made Yilin feel dizzy. But the sharp pain in his chest made him barely awake. Will not pass out. He came to the seat of the unconscious passenger as fast as he could, and took out a piece of black clothing. Wingsuit flying suit grade. None explanation because the parachute bag is really not found. I can only use this to make up the number. Even if it cannot be landed safely, the user can fly freely in the air. Fight. Yirin had no other choice, and in 13 seconds, quickly put on the wingsuit flying suit. At this moment, Yilin is fortunate that he has been exercising uninterruptedly over the past 3 years, allowing him to improve his agility to 3.0. There is about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. The plane tilted at 60 degrees and fell towards the sea at a terrifying speed. Gululu, a rusty tin can, rolled over to where Yilin was. It took another 5 seconds. Yilin took the expired can of coconut milk in his hand. Thank you for this cute little luck. Saved Yilin about 5 seconds. Coconut milk without seeing the date. Grade. None explanation. I don't know when the coconut milk was produced. If you drink it, you may have diarrhea. But it should be able to add a little physical strength. Goo goo goo. Yilin did not hesitate, opened the tab, raised his head and drank. As for the taste, it does not matter. HP, 46%, 47%, 48%. The pain in the chest, slightly relieved. Can restore his health. Yirin was a little surprised. This is an extremely rare thing. Do newbies try welfare? Yirin put on the wingsuit and jumped directly out of the plane that was about to fall. The unmanned aircraft, the moment Yilin jumped out, whizzed past Yilin's forehead. Ho, the powerful air current blows so that Yilin can barely open 2 gaps in his eyes. The stimulation of the strong wind made Yilin's tears flow. Yirin has never played wingsuit flying. After appearing in the Forbidden Air Zone, this is only something that exists in history. In fact, this is also the first time Yilin has soared several kilometers in the air as a mortal. Feel good. Soon, Yilin has slightly mastered some wingsuit flying skills. After all, there are no other obstacles in this huge sky, as long as he finds a way to maintain balance. It's just that the chaotic air currents on the sea caused Iron a lot of trouble. The vast sea level, sparkling in the night, ebb and flow. Looking down from this height, the sea at night looks a bit similar to the starry night sky. There. Yinlin squinted, and in the distance, a small white spot was as clear as a firefly in the night. That's the white top of a beauty in professional attire. Rush. Wingsuit flight can only play a gliding role, and cannot make Yilin land safely. Falling on the sea at such a height, the impact force caused at that moment is no different from hitting a steel plate. Will die, will be broken, will not be reborn. The way to survive. Only one. Rush rush. Yirin shrank her body in midair, reducing the contact area of the wingsuit with the air, and flew towards the beauty of the professional outfit like a meteor. It's not easy to control. Yilin narrowed his eyes. I survived. I actually survived. The beauty in professional attire recalled everything she experienced on the plane, and she couldn't help but feel a little afraid. In fact, when the golden retriever attacked her at first, with her agility attribute, she was completely able to avoid it. But the reason why she still allowed golden retriever to the parachute bag was because she intuitively told her that there was a problem with the parachute. Although she doesn't know the sacred power that brought her to this mysterious space, there seems to be a vague voice telling her that as long as she survives, she can get everything she wants. This height is almost the same. The beauty in professional attire settled down, ready to open the parachute. Sudden. Her back suddenly sank, and someone hugged her tightly from behind. Take a downwind umbrella, don't you mind? At the juncture of life and death, it is definitely a hooligan to talk about whether a man or a woman is giving or receiving a relationship. At the very least, Yilin didn't have any unhealthy thoughts when he hugged the beauty in the air. You. The beauty turned her head, and the moment she saw Yilin, a trace of horror flashed in her eyes. She didn't expect Yilin to be able to chase here. Fake, here is a few kilometers above the sky. Crazy. This guy is crazy. Boom. At this moment, the plane almost fell with its nose down and fell straight into the distant sea. There was a loud noise, and along with the bright firelight, the whole plane slowly sank to the bottom of the sea. Prepare the Apostle 897, Death. This is the unlucky brother who knocked his head and passed out from the beginning. Die. Now there are only 2 people left in the trial task of preparing the apostles. Amen. 1 girl. Midair. Hug tightly. Double stay and double flight. Change to other scenes, maybe it will make a touching story. Pity. A trace of irritation flashes through the eyes of women in professional attire. From an indescribable part, she suddenly took out a stun gun. When he was about to stab Yilin with a stun gun, Yilin seemed to have anticipated this trick, and slammed the stun gun in the hands of the beauty with his hands. Oh, your second item turned out to be a stun gun. Your lucky value is quite high. A trace of despair flashed in the beauty's eyes. With your high agility attribute, I think your strength attribute should not be too high, otherwise you will not be unable to resist the attack of the golden retriever. Yilin glanced at the white neck of the beautiful woman behind her collar, and couldn't help but think of something in her heart. It's a pity. I don't have a knife in my hand. He pinched the beautiful woman with the right hand of the stun gun in one hand, then flexibly moved in the air, changed a posture, and turned to the beautiful woman. Close to the beauty face to face. The beauty in professional attire felt the closeness of their bodies, shaking all over, so angry that they couldn't say a word. The 2 are still falling quickly toward the sea. If you don't open the umbrella anymore, we 2 will die together. If you open the umbrella now, maybe you can't die. You look at the selection. Yilin said with a smile. But in my heart, it is secretly estimating the height and calculating it 3 times with a physical formula. Pang! The parachute finally opened. The speed at which the 2 of them fell was finally cushioned. But this is after all a parachute that can only hold 1 person's weight, but now it has to bear the weight of 2 people abruptly, but it's a bit reluctant. While free, Yilin asked casually, when did you find that there was a problem with the glasses? The beauty also gave up resistance at this moment, and was simply held by Yilin. How do you know I found a problem with him? The look in the eyes. Even when you are attacked by the golden retriever, the fear is pretended, but only when you look at the man with glasses, you have real fear in your eyes. I have seen this look a lot, and I can't be wrong. Yes. In the future, in everyone's eyes, you reading www.yuyuganshu.com will have this kind of fearful look. Iron is too familiar. Haha. The beauty chuckled. In the initial mission statement, it was mentioned that we were 5 people, but there were 6 people on the plane, including those who were unconscious on the ground. In other words, one of us was not passengers, maybe, not people. Just imagining that one of them is not a person is enough to make people creepy. Moreover, the life preserver under each of our seats has 2 kinds of props, including the unconscious one, but the box of the man with glasses is empty, which makes it difficult for people not to doubt it. Yilin smiled, that's it. The beauty in professional attire glared at Yilin, otherwise. Have you ever thought about who, on earth, unfastened the seat belt of a comatose passenger? If he is not in a coma, there are 6 people active on the plane from the beginning, wouldn't it be more disagreeable? The face of the beauty in professional attire changed, and her body became cold in an instant. The 2 of them still fell towards the sea at a relatively fast speed. Is clothes under him? The parachute only serves as a partial cushion for the 2 of them. But they still hug each other tightly. I'll ask you instead, what's the matter with your hammer? Yilin was silent for a moment, then shook his head, secret. Tisk, stingy man. The beauty pursed her mouth, and then she pressed her close to Yilin's ear, but, I seem to like you a little bit. Really? Yilin's face was expressionless, his hands pressed harder, and he firmly grasped the right hand of the beauty in professional clothes. I like it, do you want to turn on the stun gun? The beauty's face suddenly stiffened. The 2 smashed into the sea severely. Was originally a parachute for 1 person, and it carried the weight of 2 people, but it was indeed a bit reluctant. In an instant, Yilin felt like he was hitting the concrete floor from a height of more than a dozen meters. The moment he fell into the sea, the limbs and bodies seemed to fall apart, and Yilin opened his mouth and spouted a mouthful of foamy blood. The broken rib seemed to pierce deeper with the impact. Hit the bottom immediately, with only 5% left. If you didn't drink the expired bottle of coconut milk. Consequences, needless to say. In the cold water, Yilin endured the pain of his whole body, took off his wingsuit and flight suit, and then refloated to the surface of the sea by the buoyancy of the life jacket. Right in front of Yilin, the beauty in professional attire was struggling to flutter in the sea. Gyulu gyulu. Yirin looked at the drenched and constantly fluttering beauty in front of her eyes, her complexion calm. Suddenly, Yilin smiled slightly. Have you ever thought about why, after you got a truly safe parachute and jumped out of the plane, you didn't receive the prompt to complete the mission? Gyulu gyulu. The beauty seemed to have heard what Iron said. But somehow, she was given another mouthful of sea water. She is obviously a good swimmer. But the water seems to be something wrong. Have you ever thought about why life jackets appeared in 3 of the 5 boxes? In fact, this is the most intimate reminder. The life jacket is a must-have item for survival. No matter what posture and angle you use for parachuting, you will definitely fall into the sea in the end. Yilin took a deep breath, some lungs hurt. Perhaps because you are also a beautiful woman in reality, you didn't realize that in this trial, we were role-playing, we were playing a strange role. You don't seem to notice that all the windows on this plane will not reflect our faces. According to my many years of experience, I will adopt a role-playing mode in missions. There must be a reason for it. For example, add a little harmless negative attribute to these characters. For example, fear of heights. Yilin coughed a few times, and blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. The beauty finally stopped moving, her eyes filled with despair, she slowly sank to the bottom of the sea. For example, weak water. Gilyalu. In the sea not far away, several small blisters appeared. Even if you are a good swimmer, there is no use for eggs. A few minutes later, Yirin floats on the icy sea. There was no more blisters coming out in front of me. Preparation for the Apostle 997, Death. Prepare the Apostle 1010, complete the main mission, escape. At this second, the world before Yilin's eyes completely freezes. As if time is stopped. Looking down again, Yilin found himself standing above the sea level, the surging waves, the fire and smoke from the plane explosion in the distance, the sky, the stars, and the desperate and horrified expression of the beauty who sank to the bottom of the sea. Everything is still, forming a beautiful picture. At this moment, Yilin seems to be detached from the world, observing this small world as a bystander. Until this moment, Yilin completely relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. It's finally over. Completing the evaluation of customs clearance, evaluation, S. Total attribute value reward plus 0.8. According to the performance of the Apostle 1010 test, it is being distributed, strength plus 0.2, agility plus 0.3, spirit plus 0.4, will plus 0.1, lucky 0.1, charm 0.1. In charisma and luck attributes unexpectedly didn't increase but decrease? What happened? Yilin has never encountered such a weird situation. Generally, luck and charm are inherent attributes that can hardly be changed for everyone. Means such as plastic surgery may be able to slightly change the charm value. Of course, the charm value is not all related to the face. In short, in most cases, these two inherent properties are difficult to change. That's why Yilin was so surprised. Death point reward is being settled, difficulty bonus, none evaluation bonus, 30% acquire death points, 1300. Random rewards are now drawn. Yilin is now full of question marks in his mind. But Yilin swallowed the question back into his stomach for the time being, waiting intently for the result of the reward draw. Get the plain life hammer. Get the skill mind shock. Get the qualification of First Order Apostle. Suddenly, a heartache came from Yilin's chest. It was as if there was a hot red soldering iron in the dark, slamming on his chest fiercely, making Yilin sore in cold sweat, and could only grit his teeth hard to prevent himself from crying in pain. A few seconds later, the painful pain came and went quickly. Yirin lifted his clothes and looked at her chest blankly. There is a grey mark like a tattoo. Is a hideous skull. Lifelike. Unlock storage space. Unlock the communication function. Level up. Congratulations to the First Order Apostle for reaching the 4th floor of the Tower of Death. Current level, LV4 return. A flower appeared in front of Yilin's eyes, and the still picture completely disappeared from before his eyes. Before leaving, Yilin glanced down at the beauty in professional attire that was frozen on the bottom of the sea, her horrified eyes. Among the 5 preparatory apostles, only Yilin left this mission world alive. Preparing for the mission of the apostle trial, newcomer's grave, really deserves its reputation. When Yilin came back to his senses again, he returned to the darkness. A faint smell of blood penetrated into Yilin's nasal cavity. Is the smell of Xiao Yang's blood? Yilin's eyes fell on the clock on the wall of Xiao Yang's house. UU reading www.uuganshu.com time. No more, no less. Just a minute. No matter how long it has been in the other world, it is only a short minute in the real world. Yiren rubbed his chest without any discomfort. But he always felt that there still seemed to be the pain of being burned by the brand. Seems to burn on the soul. The ribs seem to be repaired. Yilin felt the changes in her body and muttered to herself, this is also one of the benefits of the newcomer's task, in the future, it will not be so easy. While talking, Yilin checked around 3 times, and after confirming that there were no flaws left, he left here quietly. In the darkness, only the cold corpse of Xiao Yang remained. No one knows that the one who died here is a terrible figure who will become a nightmare for countless people in 4 years. When I got home, it was early morning. It took a lot of time to deal with the aftermath. Yilin was drenched all over, and the cold rain dripped down Yilin's hair in strands. Looked very embarrassed. Yiren took a hot bath comfortably, and then lay down on the bed. Yiren began to recall the whole process over and over again. From here to Xiao Yang's house, he avoided all the cameras as much as possible. This was the route he had set a year ago. Heavy rain can wash away more than 90% of the marks. Tight windbreakers, masks, gloves, fingerprints, hair, and footprints are all impossible to leave. The whole process, Yilin recalled 6 times, and after confirming that there were no flaws, he began to sort out the gains in the trial level. First of all, Apostle Panel. Apostle Panel Yin ID, 1010 health value 100%, cannot be quantified, deducted as a percentage based on the strength of the Apostle's body, Shnik value 550, affected by mental attributes, Module Night of Apocalypse, damaged, level LV4, First Order Apostle, strength 2.0, positively correlated with muscle strength, physical fitness, explosive power and resilience, agility 3.3, positively correlated with shooting speed, reaction speed, flexibility and movement. Speed, spirit 5.5, positively correlated with memory, imagination, calculation power, Shnik value, precision, perception, casting speed and Shnik recovery speed, will 7.1. The embodiment of willpower is positively related to various resistances, lucky 3.9, it is extremely difficult to improve under normal circumstances, and I cherish it in Europe, charm 2.4, it is extremely difficult to improve under normal circumstances, and is handsome and cherished, skills. Hidden breath. Mind shock enhanced none. Iron clicked on the information of the new skill Mind Shock. Mind Shock grade level consumption 200 Shnik value affects single target within 200 meters into a short-term stun state. The effect of the skill is affected by the spirit attribute and the target's will attribute. Explanation Kind eyes. Level skills. Not bad. By the way, this apocalyptic night mod. Yilin looked at the module column in the attributes, and his heart moved. This is the white card that has been carried around after rebirth. It is a module formed after being loaded. In the future, Yilin has never heard of anyone owning something similar. Yin stretched out his finger and pressed it towards the Night of Apocalypse on the panel. In an instant, the scenery around Yilin changed, and he actually came into a dark space. In this pitch-black space, it seems that there is no gravity, making Yilin unable to distinguish up, down, left, and right. In front of Yilin, there were a few dim full of cracks. The dark and vast mysterious space in front of Yilin's eyes is like a universe extinguished by the sky, full of decadence. And behind those little balls, there are actually a few faint lines extending into the depths, and where those lines pass, there are many cracked connected, and then looking forward, Yilin it was discovered that those lines stretched to the depths of the void, completely engulfed by darkness, making Yilin unable to see clearly. Where is this? Yilin lowered his head and found that he was naked and floating in the dark. It would be nice if I could see clearly. Yilin just had this idea in his heart. The pattern composed of small N lines was actually shrunk quickly following Yilin's heart, and then displayed in front of Yilin like a map. What? Can still play like this? Yilin also came to be interested, using his mind to manipulate these small to go up and down, and have a great time. Yilin found that he seemed to be the sole master of this mysterious space, and everything in this space moved with his heart and was under his control. But no matter how the pattern changes in front of him, Yilin can only see the front part clearly, and the back part seems to be shrouded in a layer of mist, making Yilin unable to see the whole picture. Staring straight at the mysterious pattern in front of his body, Yilin's eyelids twitched slightly, and suddenly he felt a bit familiar. Isn't it similar to the talent and skill trees in previous games, isn't it? Well, that's not right, be more confident. Is just a dime at all. Module, mod. Yilin had a flash of light in his mind, thinking of a term in the game field. Mod, in game terminology, is a modification or enhancement program. Could it be that? In the darkness, Yilin slowly stretched out his hand towards the nearest ball. At the moment Yilin's fingers touched the cracked ball, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. Apocalypse Night module is broken, this skill point cannot be used. Yilin couldn't help feeling disappointed. It turned out that the module was damaged. Could it be that he died together with the Knights of the Apocalypse in that tragic battle in 2125, yet brought such a useless thing? Just now, the damaged skill ball in front of his eyes lit up slightly. A line of text resurfaced. The module recognizes a replaceable skill. Do you want to edit the module again? Yes/no? Yes. 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 Still need to ask? NT only choose no. When Yilin chose yes, too colorful of light floated out of him. Yilin stared at him, and those two small were the only two skills he possessed. Hidden Breath Mind Shock. The reason why the future Knights of the Apocalypse is strong is because of the reason for having this mod. But the dilapidated talent tree in front of me should have lost the power that the Apocalypse Knight should have. Otherwise, I have already changed the color of the world with my gestures. Hat. Yilin laughed at herself, thinking for a moment. He also initially understood the usage of this Apocalypse Night module. Now this Apocalyptic Night module, although it has lost the terrifying power he has witnessed in the future, it is dilapidated. But although the original module is damaged, the frame is still there. In other words, Yilin can use other skills acquired in the inner world to fill in the defects of this module. Wait, isn't this a DIY Knight of the Apocalypse? Yilin thought of the key point, and the corner of his mouth curled up, resisting the ecstasy in his heart. Calm. It's not that I haven't seen the world before. Hold back. Can't help it. What are you waiting for? Laugh. Iron grinned, and then stretched his hand to one of the skills. Mind Shock. Among the only two skills he has now, the Hidden Breath is obviously higher than the Mind Shock, which has a higher potential. Is a level control skill. Hidden Breath, just a level auxiliary skill. Which is better or worse, you can draw a conclusion after a little analysis. Just after Yilin made a choice, a prompt popped up in front of him, making Yilin's hand stiff in the darkness. The chaos value is not enough to edit the module with this skill, please select again. Then, is there any choice? I just said that I can only choose Hidden Breath or not. Yilin chose Hidden Breath speechlessly. This mod editing method is simple and brainless. Just grab the skills with your hands in this dark mental space and stuff them into the broken balls. The colorful ball of light melted into the broken ball in a blink of an eye. There is no pause. The cracks on the skill points on the talent tree were quickly repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it became smooth as new again within 1 second. The dim skill ball, reblooming white light. Consumption chaos value 500. Currently remaining chaos value, 500 points, Hidden Breath is upgraded to like a shadow. Follow the shadow grade 1 star consumption 3 power points/second effect behind the target or hidden in the shadow, it can reduce the presence of 70%. Explanation: the shadow will be with you. This skill. Yirin's pupils shrank suddenly. This skill is not a bit stronger than the hidden aura at the beginning. Although the consumption of Shinnik energy has been increased, Yilin's superior attribute is originally the spiritual attribute, which can be activated for 183.3 seconds. Moreover, this skill has no cooling time and movement restrictions. In other words, Yilin can open for a while, close for a while, open for a while, wave for a while. Plus the natural recovery of the Shinnik value under the high mental attribute. The operation time is at least 5 minutes or more. Compared with the hidden aura with a bit of chicken rib taste at the beginning, this upgraded shadow follow me is simply too much stronger. What grade is this 1 star? Yilin looked at it carefully, but he was a little puzzled. The skill levels in his impression are all named after English letters. From common to rare are D, C, B, A, S. This 1 star. Yilin casually clicked on the skill point follow the shadow. A reminder popped up in front of Yirin: insufficient chaos value, unable to upgrade, but Yilin was not surprised but delighted. Can be upgraded. This is going against the sky. Even if it is Yilin who knows a lot of future trajectories, he can't help taking a breath at this moment. Everything hidden in this Apocalypse Night module, Yilin has never heard of it. For Yilin, the role of this module is like in the previous game, from the advancement of ordinary occupations to hidden occupations. This kind of advancement is like changing a pipe for a pipe, changing a barrel for a shotgun, and changing a shotgun for a gun, getting stronger and stronger. When exited from that mysterious dark space, Yilin found that he was still in his room, lying on the bed. Look at the time again. Only 3 minutes have passed. In that talent tree space, there seems to be no concept of time and space. Yilin has studied for so long, but for the real world, it is just fleeting, with a flash of finger. Is it an existence similar to a spiritual space? There was a feeling of dizziness, and it hit like a tide, and there was a tingling between the eyebrows. Yilin almost didn't spit out on the bed. After finally getting over, Yilin opened the Apostle panel and found that there were only 2 digits left in the Shinnik value column. Unexpectedly, editing modules actually consume so much Shinnik energy. Yirin rubbed his eyebrows, and after the intense dizziness eased, she felt a lot more comfortable. 3 years have passed since Yilin was reborn from Tower Era 2125 before the end. It has been 3 years. It took 3 years to plan, and it was the perfect first step. Became an apostle. In order to ensure that he can obtain the qualification of an apostle without fail, he planned for 3 years. Finally, Yirin took a deep breath. Everything is just the beginning. Yilin still has 2 doubts about the changes in her body, and she can't figure it out. First of all, when the trial mission was settled, his charm and luck actually achieved a negative growth. This is a strange situation that Yilin has never encountered before. What's even more bizarre is that the 0.2 that he deducted from the 2 attributes of charm and luck is evenly distributed to the rest of the attributes. Strength, agility, energy, will, the total attribute is increased by up to 1.0. In the future, it is no secret how to live up to the greatest attribute improvement in the inner world in the circle of apostles. Every time you enter the inner world and complete a cruel mission to survive, the tower will give an evaluation based on the performance of the apostle in the mission. According to the final evaluation, the apostle will be given different levels of attribute promotion and random rewards. Evaluation levels are D, C, B, A, S, SS, SSS. According to the evaluation, the total attributes that can be improved are plus 0.1, plus 0.2, plus 0.4, plus 0.6, plus 0.8, plus 1.0, plus 1.5. In the world of, in addition to attributes and skills, there is an important measurement indicator for evaluating the strength of an apostle. Is the level. In other words, the number of towers. The higher the level of the apostle, it means that the apostle reaches a higher level of the tower, the more terrifying the trials faced in the inner world, but the higher the benefits that come with it. It is the saying that the greater the risk, the higher the return. Apostle, to put it bluntly, they are desperados who lick blood on the tip of a knife. Iron comes from the future and is very familiar with most of the rules of the inner world. After all, in the future, the rules of the world will be thoroughly studied by the apostles. In the evaluation of customs clearance, the evaluations of D, C, B, and A can increase the level by 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. And above the S grade evaluation, the level of promotion will not increase, but the total attributes and random rewards of the promotion will be greatly improved. Only if this level evaluation is above, there will be 2 chances to draw random rewards. Take the simplest example. An apostle conducts 4 world experiences and obtains 4 level evaluations, so the total attribute increase obtained is 0.4. And like Yilin, he obtained an S level evaluation in an experience, which also increased by 4 levels, but his total attribute was increased by 0.8. Has doubled. Although there are 4 trials in the world, it is possible to get more random rewards. But actually, for the apostle, the attributes are more important than the multi-function props or some imaginary skills. Attributes are the root of all power. What's more, no apostle can guarantee that he can live to the end in every trial. From November 11, 2111 to the present, nearly 10 years have passed. In the past 10 years, I don't know how many apostles have fallen into cruel trials. No one knows. Therefore, in the apostolic circle in the future, the most discussed point is how to get a higher clearance evaluation in the trial. S grade, SS grade, even SSS level. This can be used to edit the chaos value of the Apocalypse Night mod. What the is it? Yirin carefully searched for information about this in his mind, but found nothing in the end. He was quite sure that no one in the apostolic circle had mentioned any information about the chaos value in that future he experienced. And these 1000 chaos points are rewards obtained by Yilin for killing a level undead in the preliminary apostle trial. But the mysterious existence of the undead does not appear in every trial. And once the undead appears in the trial, it means that the difficulty of the entire level will increase. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com. If there is only one way to obtain the chaos value, it would be too miserable for Yilin. Iron's guess after reasoning and thinking is that he is inexplicably negative growth charm and lucky attributes. And chaos value of unknown origin. Should all be related to Apocalypse Night module. Only when I enter the inner world next time can I get the answer. Yirin sighed and decided not to waste his brain power and time on this lack of intelligence. Yilin touched the grey skull mark on his chest. This is the proof of apostle registration in the Tower of Death. While gaining the power of the apostle, it also means that from now on, Yilin's life will no longer belong to him, but belongs to the unpredictable tower. The huge tower named Death. Correct. Yirin's heart moved, and he focused on the skull mark on his chest. Soon, his spirit entered a space of about 1 cubic meter. Here is the storage space he unlocked after he became the First Order Apostle. In the storage space, there is a grey card floating lonely. Yilin had a thought, and when his consciousness returned to reality again, the grey card had appeared in Yilin's hand. The grey card depicts a plain red life-saving hammer. Plain life-saving hammer grade none explanation. This is an ordinary life-saving hammer, except that it can knock on doors and windows, nothing special. Remaining usage times, 3/3.